Hello gamer family, and welcome to my new Fire Emblem game ranking tier list thingamajigger, whatever it is, but welcome to it. Anyways, I like talking about Fire Emblem, and doing tier lists of Fire Emblem is just a really great way to be able to talk about my opinions, especially because every year I replay different Fire Emblem games. My thoughts on ones change, ones I've played change, comparing to ones I've played this year to ones I haven't played this year. My thoughts are always changing with Fire Emblem, and I think it's just fun to be able to track how I feel about the series through the years. The funny thing is, there's actually an upcoming Fate's Birthright video where I actually talk about my original 2020 tier list, bashing it, and even what I talk about there is actually going to be out of date because I've replayed Awakening since I recorded that. And again, as I said, I replay different Fire Emblem games every year. I've replayed Awakening, I've replayed Birthright and Conquest, I've done Birthright twice, once in the Let's Play, once to practice. I've completed my practice Conquest, and I'm most of the way done with my Let's Play of it. New Mystery I've done this year. Fire Emblem 7 I've done this year. Thracia I've done this year. Engage I've done this year. But the rest of them I really haven't played this year. As opposed to last year where I kind of played the opposite, and I think it's fun to do that. So anyways, there are 3 separate tier lists. I'm going to be first alternate going in release order, I'll talk about that more in a second, of gameplay and then story. And then once I go through all the games there, I will show my overall tier list, and then I will defend some of the placements on it and explain why things are where they are or where they're not. For the most part, it'll be pretty clear that it is a combination of my gameplay and story ones with some other little funkeries I need to explain. But of course I'll do that. I am not ranking the original 3 games. We are going to release order, but I'm going to be substituting the originals with the remakes, so we'll be going Shadow Dragon, Shadows of Valentia, New Mystery, then we'll go 4 onwards. I will talk about the originals when I talk about the remakes, but for the most part, I'm not ranking the originals because I think they're irrelevant, because the remakes are all really, really good. There's only one remake that really gives you a reason to not play it over the original, and I still think it's worth playing the remake over. But it does things that some people really don't like, and I think it's worth mentioning those. And yeah, let's start. This is gameplay first. We're going to be talking about Shadow Dragon. Oh, where's Shadow Dragon going? Where is the Shadow Dragon going? And I'm putting it A tier. I like Shadow Dragon a lot. This is a game, my opinion has changed on a lot over the years. I hated it when I first played it. Despised it so much. But now I look back on it, and I really enjoy it. It helps having played the original, quite honestly. My appreciation of this game went up and actually not New Mystery, but my appreciation of this game went up after I played Fire Emblem 1. Fire Emblem 1 is clunky and not fun. It's actually amazing how well they nailed the map design in their first outing, but it's hard to appreciate that when the item management is so bad. There's no real easy way to get items from one unit to another. You can't really do that on the prep screen. You have to use a item storage thing on the map, which also costs money, although I never noticed that. And just item management is just so clunky and not fun. Shadow Dragon fixing that really allows the map design to shine. Why A tier, not S tier? Reclassing. I don't mind reclassing as much in this game, mostly because I could have a limited amount of each class. So you can't have all Wyvern spam. I actually like that. That helps me like this a lot more. I wish there were more requirements to reclassing in addition to that, but I don't mind it. There's not enough mechanics to me in this game that there's not enough class mechanics that allow you to completely destroy the game through reclassing to truly make reclassing horrible. You can't do Gale Force spam but using reclass in this game. You can't do that, which means it's kind of inoffensive, especially just because classes don't matter that much other than mobility in this game, if I'm being completely honest. I've never really noticed that much of it. Obviously, they matter. And one of the reasons why I love Shadow Dragon, though, is it's just such an easy game to sit down in Iron Man. If you've never Iron Man a Fire Emblem game before, start with Shadow Dragon. Because again, it gives you so many tools to make that fun. It has a ton of difficulty options. the generic units, so if you lose too much of your real units, it gives you generic units to fill in the army, which is, by the way, a feature that should be in every Fire Emblem game, even with classic casual mode split. Because generics are the precursor to casual mode, and I don't think it's a better solution, but I think it's a really good solution still. If you lose your healer, you can just reclass someone else in, no effort. Shadow Dragon just feels like a game that was perfectly made for Iron Man. Again, but why is it in A tier, not S tier? Again, I still don't really care for reclassing, and the late game maps aren't the best. There's a lot of maps that are kind of just feel like, oh, let's just warp skip this. And that's really it on there. How about story-wise? How Shadow Dragon story-wise? Well, it's fine, I guess. It's fine. We'll put it in C tier. I think it is actually just the definition of average. It's not a bad story, and it's not told badly. It's a generic story delivered satisfactory. And see, the American schooling system has failed us, really, because if C is essentially supposed to be average, so I'll put it there, even though C is like a 70%, and like an average should be like right in the middle, 50%. Like it's schooling system failed, but using it, Shadow Dragon is average, so it goes average. If FE1 was being ranked, it would be like in the non-showing F tier though, because like that thing does not have a story. Shadows of Valentia and Gaiden. I actually really like Gaiden. I didn't play it this year because but a series uploaded of it this year. I recorded it last year. Like Gaiden's actually playable. I've beaten the full game twice. I can't say that about FE1. I've beaten the full game once, and then for my April Fool's video, I did the debug menu after the first map. I actually can play Gaiden, mostly because it strips out the horrible item management system and completely gets rid of it. Also, world maps are cool. I like the promotion system. I like the class system in general. And all the things I like about this game are in the remake. Now, obviously, in modern Fire Emblem games, you don't really need to get rid of the item management because it's so poorly done in modern games or anything like that. But still, it allows for a completely different experience. The problem holding this game back really is the map design. And we'll get to my hot takes involving a certain map design thing with Fire Emblem 4. And I will definitely have to defend why I like that game's gameplay and not Shadows of Valentia. Unfortunately, the things I like about it aren't enough to save it, because the things I like about this game, other games still do way better. Even Shadows of Valentia. And this isn't to say I don't like playing the game. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say it loud and clear. I like all Fire Emblem games. I think all of them are super fun. Even if in some games I have to search a little bit harder to find fun, the core gameplay itself is still so much fun. Even with bad maps and quote-unquote unfun systems to me, I can still find a ton of fun in games. So, yeah, it's in C tier, but that doesn't mean I hate this game. This game is the reason why I kept going in Fire Emblem after I did not like Fates when I first played it. This game was like, okay, yeah, I just didn't enjoy Fates. I need to keep playing them more. So yeah, it's in C tier, but I still enjoy it. But come on, so many desert maps, so many swamp maps. Canters. Story-wise, this may shock some of you, but it's only going in A tier. Why? Well, the reason why this game is so lovely to play is the presentation. It is the best Fire Emblem has ever looked. It has one of the best soundtracks. And by look, I mean everything. The maps look gorgeous. The portraits are gorgeous, although I will say, I don't want Hidari to all return for something that isn't like Valentia adjacent, because I like the idea of I like how every continent has its own art style, but Hidari's art is still the best we've seen in a mainline game. And even the GUIs look gorgeous. The cutscenes look great on 3DS. This is the best looking Fire Emblem game. There's no doubt in my mind. But this story's fine. The added characters in Gaiden really bring it down. I feel like Conrad really hurts Silica's route. Silica's great. I love Silica, but I think having Conrad takes away her, I can't remember the word I'm thinking of, but her urgency almost. Because it's like, oh no, Silica needs a strong man to help her. No, she doesn't. No, she doesn't. No, she doesn't. She doesn't need Conrad. And I don't like that. Also, Alm's kind of just a Mary Sue, and that's all he is. And there's nothing wrong with that. I like Alm. Alm's a really fun character. But again, he's nothing really special. This game is very cliche-filled. I shouldn't use that too much to hurt it, because there's plenty of Fire Emblem games I like with cliched stories. Like, we'll get to another one in A tier that is very cliched. And again, like, this is an A tier. This is a great story. I love this story. It's one of the best stories Fire Emblem has to offer. But I don't know. It just, as a full package, I don't love it as much as I love others. New mystery. New mystery of the emblem. FE12. Where are we putting you? Where are we putting you? We're putting you in A tier. What? Below Shadow Dragon, you made me think. Yeah, I don't like the map design as much. And this is a Fire Emblem 12 issue only. I don't like the new maps. I hate the prologue from a gameplay perspective and a story perspective, but I'll get there. They're not fun maps, and I don't like the guided maps either. I like big Fire Emblem casts, but New Mysteries cast is big to the point of it feels absurd. The main campaign is what, 24 maps or something? I can't remember the exact number. But like what, 24 maps? And you have such a ginormous cast. Yeah, something like Radiant Dawn has a ginormous cast too. It has like double the maps. New Mysteries cast is way too big for the amount of maps it has, which makes it feel extremely bloated. Reclassing system on top of the bloated cast means that unit identity really doesn't exist in this game. You kind of just throw units that are kind of powerful, and you reclass them to what you need them to be. There's no reason to use a lot of the units, which sucks. But like, it's still an A tier. It's still a phenomenal game. The DS games just feel so fast and smooth to play, which is great. I do love how it feels to actually move the units around. Weapon triangle is kind of unnecessary just because these games were designed not to have them, but I like having it. And again, the maps aren't as good as Shadow Dragon, but they're still pretty solid. And this game offers a lot of fun and challenge with all the pre-promoted flyers in an early game, allowing for an interesting gameplay challenge. And this is also the game that introduced casual mode. I know a lot of people have a vendetta against it, like, what's the point of playing Fire Emblem if you're playing casual mode? Like, yeah. Fire Emblem was envisioned as a series where people died and you let it happen. But as the series got better and better writing, that got harder and harder to do. And yeah, resetting exists, but not everybody likes resetting. Because, you know, Fire Emblem is a niche game. We don't need to make it nicher. If people want to play with casual mode, then let them. My issue with casual mode, like many, is that it can reinforce bad habits if the characters just come back. And even I learned bad habits originally. Which is why I think the turn wheel is actually a better solution than casual mode, and why I think generics are a better solution than casual mode. But if it weren't for casual mode, I would have never started playing the franchise myself. So, I can't hate on it too much, even if I never play it anymore. Story-wise, New Mystery, it's better than Shadow Dragon, but still kind of average. It's kind of on the cusp, almost, of being able to be moved up to B tier. But Chris does hurt it. And not just Chris, but all the added stuff. I don't mind Chris, the avatar's existence. My issue with the avatar in this game is that they weren't in FE3, and that's why people typically like playing FE3 as well. It's because you don't have the avatar. And the people that just don't like DSFE also prefer Shadow Dragon remake in Fire Emblem 3, and for a while I did as well, actually, before I learned to love DS Fire Emblem. But oh, the assassin subplot's so bad, and quite honestly holds us back from a B tier just on its own, because I hate it so much. I don't know why it needs to exist. You didn't need another subplot in the game. Like, I like the main plot with like Hardin and the Binding Gems. But again, even like bringing back Medius and Garneth feels boring and uninspired when you just could have done a new threat. You still could have done Hardin as the villain without making it be Medius and Garneth. So it feels uninspired there as well. I like the game story-wise, which is why it's in C tier and not D tier, but I don't know. It's nothing too special, unfortunately. Oh boy. This is where I'm gonna get blasted. Fire Emblem 4 on gameplay front. Why did I put FE4 at the top of A tier, gameplay-wise? Well, it's simple. I haven't talked about it yet because I wanted to wait for now, but map design to me, gameplay-wise, is second to just general mechanics of the game. And that, to me, is where FE4 really shines. I love the quirky, unique mechanics, and even then, there's 12 maps in the game, and most of them I really enjoy. The maps that force you to split up your army are some of my favorites in this game. Chapter 3, in particular, is one of my favorite maps of the franchise, because you kind of have to split your army to play it well. You have to do have different units do different things. I like every unit having their own inventory. I love the just overpowered feeling of the holy weapons. It just feels so much fun, and it's great story gameplay integration. That word will be mentioned a couple more times. And I'll mention it, in fact, really 2 more times. Maybe 3, actually. I might mention it on another game. But that is a very important thing to me with the Fire Emblem games. Obviously, gameplay matters more to the story than me. But if you have gameplay story integration, all of a sudden, I care way more about the story, and I care way more about the gameplay. It makes me care about more. I genuinely like the big maps. Yeah, Chapter 2 is not the best, but I'll talk about more later. I like that. I like the difference of not being able to trade. I think in a remake they need to modify it more. I think the pawn shop is unfair in its current state. But I like the idea of it, especially because with how rings work in this game, free trading would be extremely powerful. So I can definitely understand why they didn't want that. Maybe make some ways to limit it, but I don't mind that. I actually kind of think it's fun to have to play around, especially on a first playthrough. The secret events are a lot of fun, if maybe a little too secret, but again, there are things that make the gameplay feel more alive, more fresh, and more exciting. And people often call to the balance of foot units versus calves. I just don't think you know how to play this game. Because the thing is, yeah, cav units are great, but they're also way worse units in every way. And you don't always have to be moving every unit at all times. Chapter 2. Have your cavaliers go up to the north. Keep your foot units ready for as soon as you seize that castle to push to the right. There, all of a sudden, less tedium with moving your units, and your foot units are better units. By a lot. Like, Ira is better than all your cav units, except Sigurd. She's an extremely powerful sword unit. Alec and Noish, yeah, train them and they can be good. But Noish doesn't have pursuit. And Alec can't do damage to save his life. Lilin is the best magic unit in the first half of the game. Yeah, Azel can get a horse, but it takes 20 level ups. And there's no other magic calves. And the best units in the game start as foot units. Lachesis and Leaf are the best units besides the Lords. They start as foot units. Yeah, they become good. They become great when they get calves. But again, you have to use a foot unit to get there. I think there's this hate boner against the foot units in Fire Emblem 4. but just play the maps thinking ahead, and it's not that much of an issue. Again, it's not an issue at all in the prologue. Chapter 1 is a bit of a slog, yeah, but most of the foot units you get halfway through the map. Chapter 2, like I said, have your calves go far, have your foot units be the main core of the army, and just bunker down a bit, and then go north. Chapter 3, have your foot units go straight, kind of go straight a bit to the middle, go back down to handle Eldigan's units, where your calves go all over the rest of it, and then have enough of your foot units lying in wait for when you take out Sival, that they can go up and save the units in the north. Chapter 4, and there's not as much I can say in the linear maps to make them better. But still, they're not as bad as people overreact to say. I also like the class system in this game. I like how you keep level when you promote, and you just level 20. No bells and whistles like, when should I promote? None of that. None of that. And all of that culminates to an experience that really needs a remake. But I love the game, regardless. Saving every turn technically means that casual mode's not needed. I've never tried an Iron Man, but it seems like it could be fun. Difficult, because there's a limited cast. And then again, even more things. I like how the Gen 2 works the best in this game. Yeah, the pairing up could be a little bit more streamlined in modern games with a support system, but it's still a fun and unique system, and I think the children work better here than any other Fire Emblem game, actually getting inventories passed down into them. And the substitutes, again, are great. All these things make this gameplay feel alive, and there's a lot you can do to make it feel different. Again, all the conversations you can do to get different people different items. There's so much you can do in this game. And yeah, I wish there was an auto move feature, but this is also a 25-year-old game. A remake should not cut down the maps. A remake should just add a ton of quality of life stuff. And again, I can talk even more gameplay-wise. The home castle's awesome. The arena needs changed, it needs tweaked, but I still like the idea of it. Anyways, I can talk about that forever. Let's go to the story, where I can also probably talk about it forever. Other people have already talked about the story of this game way more than I have, so I'm not going to linger on it. It's grand, it's epic, it has all of the flaws Kaga typically puts in his writing, like mind-controlled women and all that stuff. But genuinely, the story is still great in spite of that. No Fire Emblem game has done mind control better than this game. No Fire Emblem game has done Amnesia better than this game. This game's story is great in spite of them. The main story, I love the main characters. I love the world. I love all the characters. And again, 25-year-old Fire Emblem game, not all the characters get a lot to say and do, but what I do get, I love. And that's another reason why I love the conversations that are scattered throughout the game. They give you just little tiny pieces. It's essentially the prelude to the modern support system. It gives you glimpses into the characters. And again, gameplay story integration. The game's story tells you things matter. And well, yeah, holy blood, holy weapons, they do matter on gameplay and story perspective. You can feel the you're told the importance in the story, then you feel the importance in the gameplay. That's something like Three Houses just does not do to me. It's just what sets this game so much higher to me than that game, which I'll get to later. I love the game, of course. But mostly, I love Sigurd, I love Seliph, I love the world, and the story, it breaks my heart, and I love that. Thracia has a much better gameplay than this. Thracia is another game that really needs a remake. It is clunky, and frankly, in some ways, feels like it doesn't work. Ballistas are too strong. I get that they want the meta of capturing, but items in stores are still too expensive. But gameplay story integration is also here. Your army is in shambles. You have nothing. Well, guess what? Gameplay-wise, you have nothing either. You have to steal it. You have to steal everything you want. You want to have stuff, you take it. You take it by force. This game feels so different than any other Fire Emblem game, yet at the same time, it's kind of the basic foundation for what a modern Fire Emblem is. It has the skill system, which I also didn't mention with Fire Emblem 4. Fire Emblem 4 and Fire Emblem 5 have some of my favorite skill systems in the franchise. You got skills. You got the varied map objectives. There you go. That's modern Fire Emblem. This game introduced rescuing, one of the most fun mechanics ever. Please bring it back. And add an FE4 remake. So much fun. Again, capturing, I cannot express how much fun capturing is. Yeah, the dismounting system is a little annoying at times. I wish there were an easier way to get sword right. I wish, like, you could use that you didn't get, like, sword lock dismounting. Otherwise, I wouldn't mind it. So that's a little annoying, but it's a little funk that I honestly don't mind. And the map design's superb. It's occasionally brought down by unfair ballistas and ambush spawns, but the map design itself is still some of the best the franchise has had, frankly. And the unique mechanics are great. The guided maps are are the most hit or miss maps in the game, but most of them are still really fine and fun to play. And again, like, the gameplay story integration, if you feel so down in the dumps, the monster arc is so stressful to play. The story, it's the lowest point in the story, and it feels the lowest gameplay-wise, too. But there are superbly designed maps. And this is one of the few games that weapon durability matters. You're going to hear me complain about this more in some later games, but weapon durability, I already like weapon durability if its existence is justified. And Thracia justifies it with its tight money. If you're showered in money in a Fire Emblem game, what's the point of having weapon durability? Because then changing out weapons becomes a chore. And something like Thracia, it's scary. When that iron sword breaks, I don't have any more swords. Oh my goodness. Like, that's like a sheer, like, actual, like, major part of the gameplay. Story gameplay integration is weapon durability. Thracia is one of the games that works the best in. And I don't think it works well in a lot of games. This one I do. So, I don't know. I could talk for ages about why I love this game, its gameplay. I also could talk for ages of why I love this game's story. Again, I love the world, I love the characters. I love the story. I love Leaf. Leaf has become my favorite Fire Emblem character over the past year. Even over Selith, who was previously my favorite. Of course, also in my favorite story. But Leaf's, I'm not going to talk too much of it, just in case you haven't played Thracia or watched Thracia, because it really is worth it. Leaf's character arc and the story he goes through is so good. And getting to experience the world of Youngdrol from a different light is also great. Genuinely. Superb storytelling, superb writing. Is there brainwashing in this? There is, isn't there? This game's story is great in spite of the mind control. But yeah, it genuinely top tier Fire Emblem story. Binding Blade. What to do with you? Strip down to basic. That's really what this game is. It removes a lot of the unique stuff from Thracia. For better or for worse, mostly for worse, I'd say. Yeah, you could base it the tier difference. But Binding Blade also has this very unique feel about it because of the hit rates. It just allows for a very different unit feel, and I really appreciate that. I also really like the map design here. Why is it lower? It just doesn't feel as good to play. And that's not just this game. I miss the skill system. It doesn't feel as snappy as the DS games either. Hit rates are lower. It doesn't have generics to help fill out your army. And the unit balance, I don't think every unit needs to be viable in Fire Emblem. I think if every unit's viable, that's actually boring. But the viable to non-viable ratio of units is bad. Really bad. But I genuinely, and again, I like a lot of the maps here, but oh my goodness, the guided maps are bad. And a couple of the non-guided maps are also bad. 14, 16, like all the guided maps. There's plenty of maps I love. 7, I think I love 7. Challenging, but I love it. 13, oh baby. All the Western Isles maps are really fun. 21, I like 24s a lot as well. Like, there's genuinely a lot of maps I like in this game. Story! To me, this is the definition of perfectly fine. It's Shadow Dragon's story, but better. I like Roy more than Marth. I feel like Roy has a lot more to do. I think the story has a little bit more twists and turns in it. I think Idun is a lot more interesting than Medius. I think Jean is much more interesting than Medius. I think Zephiel is way more interesting than Garneth. You got characters like Hector that give you a little bit of motivation. I like the overall cast way more. I like the world. But overall, it's still kind of just a basic story. I think it's a basic story done well. And that's all I have to say on Fire Emblem 6. I think it's a really good game. Anyways, Fire Emblem 7. Yeah, I Let's Played this one this year. It's one of my best Let's Plays on the channel. What? Below FE6 gameplay was? Yeah, I don't like the maps as much. There are some amazing maps in this game, but I don't like them as much, on average. And this feels a lot more basic. I love FE6 because of its hit rate things. Myrmidons and Swordmasters are good, but this is also kind of where the Fire Emblem gameplay meta shifts to like, oh, you need 1-2 range. There's plenty of maps. These games are practically equivalent gameplay-wise. I'm going to be completely honest. I think they're about equal, but FE6 feels just a little bit more unique, so I like it more. Mostly because of the hit rates. And again, that's not to say I think FE7's gameplay is bad. No, I think it's great. I think it's way above average, and it's really fun. I also think FE7 has some of the best difficulty settings in the franchise. So many different options, the unit feel great. There's just a lot that this game offers. Even if it's kind of a more basic experience as opposed to something like Binding Blade. But you know what? As I was making this video, I've convinced myself Blazing Blade is better. Story-wise, I don't really care for Nurgle or the main story. I kind of think the Shadow Cult taking over thing, like, it's fine. The story's fine. It's also kind of cliche with Fire Emblem dads. And I don't love Nurgle, but the thing is, this game is hard carried by its amazing cast. Especially its main cast. The lords are all amazing. I love them. I've loved them since I've actually played the game. And I like the world. I don't love it. I also just feel like this game doesn't mesh well with 6 story-wise, which is annoying because this game is supposed to be a prequel and it was also made afterwards. So I hope remakes kind of fix that up a little bit. But, you know, it's a perfectly fine story. I like it. I've grown on it a lot since replaying it. Even a thing like Nurgle's plan to quintessence, it's stupid, it doesn't make sense. And also that, like, last minute plot twist, Blake and, like, after, like, they get their weapons, and then that happens, and then that happening is undone in the end. Like, that's so stupid. I love the final boss, though. So different. Yeah, so, I put those two there. So where's Sacred Stone's gonna go, you may be like? Well, wow, I'm shocked. Yeah, why is it lower? Because I don't like I don't like a fourth of the game. After chapter 14, I like, one map? And I know my opinions on this game's gameplay is a hot takes because the map ranking video for this game is one of my worst like-dislike ratios on my channel. So, like, I know, like, my opinions of this game, gameplay-wise, are unpopular, but I do not like the gameplay for the final fourth of the game. This map has this game has some of my favorite maps in GBA Fire Emblem. The Dussel map, Father and Son, I actually remember the name of that one. The Dock map, a lot of the Ephraim side maps are really great. But for every really great map, it's just a map I do not like. I do not like Scorching Sands. I do not like the desert map in this map. I don't like its penultimate map. I do not like its final Fog of War map. I don't like any of the Fog of War maps in this game. I don't mind Fog of War, but I think this game has horrible Fog of War maps. There's just all of that stuff that I don't like. That just makes it worse than the other two for me. It's GBFE. It's still really fun, though. Of course, it's a B tier. And story-wise, sorry, I need to check my list, because I did like Right all the time. Yeah, it's there. It's better than Basic, but I've never cared for its characters other than Erica and Ephraim. I've never cared for Lion. I've never really cared for the world, really. I don't like monster-heavy FE. Like, all the enemies are monster. That's almost an issue with Shadows of Valentia, but Shadows of Valentia, the monsters are, like, created by humans. Like, here they just kind of exist, and I don't like that. I've never liked that. I think it brings it down, and I just don't care for the cast a ton either. I don't know why, I just don't. Like, am I glad this game exists, though? Of course. Because this game wasn't supposed to exist. Path of Radiance was being designed as FE8, so I'm still really glad that this silly little game exists, because if it didn't, that'd be a shame, but I genuinely don't understand people that are like, oh yeah, Sacred Stones is my favorite. Because I just don't... I don't love the gameplay. I don't love the characters, and I don't love... I just don't get it. And I hope that one day I genuinely will get it. I didn't get Shadow Dragon when I first played it, why some people liked it. I get it now. I hope I get Sacred Stones the same way I get that now. Anyways, Path of Radiance. Oh boy, don't kill me. Why is it below Genealogy? Well, first of all, you gotta ask, why is it on S tier? And that's because Radiant Dawn does everything that this game does better. I like the map design in this game is good. I like the victory objectives, but I don't know. The late game always feels kind of boring to me. Not bad. The late game doesn't feel bad, like I could say in a certain game coming up. It just feels boring. Everything after Chapter 22, Solo, feels boring. This game's clunky, which isn't a problem, because for the most part, the map design's great. It does actually have... It has good story gameplay integration, but the problem is I don't love it as much, because the weapon durability matters so much in the early game. Money is tight, and that's great, but by the end of the game, you have so much money that item management becomes a chore instead of being fun. Which sucks, because earlier in the game it was fun. And that also is gameplay story integration. By the end of the game, he is rich and loaded with money, and it's just not as fun as the other story gameplay integrations. I like the class system here, though. I like the skill system here. I love the forging system. I love a lot of the things that this game does. I'm going to do Radiant Dawn now just because I think I need to, though. Radiant Dawn takes everything Path of Radiance does. It does it better. The forging system is better. The class system is made even more exciting with third-tier classes. The map design is better. Both games have late-game issues. Except here, instead of being boring, the late game is just bad in Radiant Dawn. Part 4 kind of sucks. The actual endgame maps actually aren't terrible, but Part 4 kind of sucks. But so much amazing maps come from... So many amazing maps come from Radiant Dawn. The defense maps in this game are genuinely on another level. The army switching feels so fresh, exciting, exhilarating. It gives me such a unique thrill. All units in this game can be good with enough love because of bonus XP, and I think the bonus XP is better in this game than it is in Path of Radiance anyways. I can't think of a single thing that this game does worse on a gameplay perspective. I really can't. Maybe it's a little disorienting, and maybe unit ability can be a little bit annoying, especially for characters like Tormod. But genuinely, I think this game does everything that Path of Radius does, except way better, including story gameplay integration. Switching armies is great for story gameplay integration, and for every single army except for one, money is tight. Again, item management, item durability, weapon durability, it matters. It matters. Which is great story gameplay integration. And man, I love Radiant Dawn. I want to replay it like right now. Like right now. Once I'm done with my Revelations practice playthrough, I think I'll have to play the Tellius games. So like, oh, they're good. That's why they're an S and A tier. Path of Radiance is so well written, but it is the most cliche story Fire Emblem's ever had. I can't think of a single thing that this game's story does that isn't a cliche or just generic. This is Star Wars. This is The Hobbit. This is any hero's journey story. And there's nothing wrong with that. Hero's journey is great. It's an A tier. The hero's journey works. But I feel like every element of this game's story, been there, done that. It's done well. It's well written. Been there, done that. It's kind of the same type of thing as Shadows of Valentia, where it's really, really good. It's just held back with been there, done that. As opposed to Radiant Dawn, yeah, I know some people don't like the things like the Blood Pact, but it feels fresh. It feels exciting, particularly due to the army switching and the story gameplay, story gameplay integration, and also characters like Micaiah, I really think stand out and are fresh. Returning characters and seeing where they're at, and seeing the armies fighting each other, it's glorious. It's epic. Radiant Dawn feels like an epic. And I think that's epic. I think it's way better. I need water before I talk about Awakening. I genuinely do. I rebeat Awakening 2 days ago. The more I start enjoying Fire Emblem Fates, the less I enjoy Awakening. And it's kind of hard to talk about what I don't like with Awakening without talking about Fates, so I think I'm going to be pretty brief here and mostly talk about it when I'm talking about Fates. But it's rougher than I remembered. The map design isn't particularly good after the first act. The first act is really solid map-wise, actually. The game showers you in money, even without grinding. It showers you in money. Item management is just not fun. Reclassing's fine. I honestly think that this game, if you added the class maximum from Shadow Dragon, I think this would have the best class system. The avatar's fun, overpowered, but fun. There's a lot of mechanics you can abuse, like Gale Force, that are maybe a little bit too strong, but you know, it's still fun. It's fine. I like the game. Obviously, it's my first Fire Emblem game. I will always love Awakening. But I felt, I just did not enjoy the maps. The mechanics are all so much better in Fates. Story-wise, yeah, I like Awakening. I like Awakening. Not necessarily as much as the GBA games above it, but I do like its story, particularly its first act. I love Chrom. I love Robin. There's a lot of heart in the story. And I love all that. It's just I don't like the second act, though. The second act feels pointless, frankly. It feels like padding, but I like Rima. I like the characters. It's a good story. It's a good story. Fates. 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 Oh boy. Let's go from most controversial to least controversial. There's that. There's that. And here's that. Yep. For the first time ever, Conquest is in an S tier on my channel. Oh my goodness, Conquest is in an S tier. That's insane. Well, I'm currently recording it too, so I'm like actually in a playthrough. Conquest is, oh my. So what does Fates do right that Awakening does wrong? I think they both do children wrong. I think Fire Emblem 4 does it best. But I think Fates does it better because the child paralogs have scaling. For the first time ever, I've played all the paralogs in Awakening, and guess what? Most of the ones I've never played before are actual trash. They're horrible. The balancing is a nightmare. Fates fix that by having paralogs scale. That makes it more fun. The map design in Conquest is so good. It has some real large stinkers. Chapter 19, Chapter 17. Hate them, hate them, hate them. But Chapter 10. Chapter 12. Chapter 24, 23. They're all so good. Revelation has the worst map design of the Fates games. But so why is it higher than Awakening? Because it still has the Fire Emblem Fates version of mechanics. Forging is better in Awakening. There we go. Pair up. Pair up's a really fun idea, but I do not like it in Awakening. There's no reason not to pair up. Pair up just breaks the game. In Fates, pair up feels like an actual mechanic now. With the like defense gauge, instead of being like random chance, like actually having it like we said, like, oh, I can plan around it. I have this many combats until, oh, brilliant, brilliant. Dual striking, again, not being chance that how dual striking works. Oh, so much better. Once I stopped playing Fates like Awakening, I started loving how Fates played. Genuinely, as I used to play it like Awakening, always paired up and all that. As soon as I stopped doing that, started taking advantage of dual strike and only pairing up when I needed to, and starting to learn how those mechanics actually work. Once I stopped playing it like Awakening, all of a sudden Conquest went up to S tier. That simple. I don't love debuff Emblem still, but I've gotten used to it by playing Fate so much. So like stuff like ninjas. The classes are really fun. Stuff like ninjas are really fun to play around with. I love the varied classes, especially with the different route switches. I need to get more into the reclassing. I think I'd love the reclassing if I actually went into it more. I think it's a little bit more obtuse than something like Awakening, but I'm starting to try and get into it, and I'm having actually a lot of fun trying to get into it. And I don't know. It's just Fates it's just Awakening but better in every way, except for forging. I hate forging Fates. And no item durability. Well, it's like I said. If you're going to be showered in money, item durability is worthless. And yeah, man, item durability in Conquest actually probably would have been fun. I'll say that. Item durability would have probably made Conquest more fun, actually. But Birthright and Revelation shower you in money, item durability would have just been a chore. And there's just so much weapons. So many weapons. So much variety in weapons. I know my grammar's been really bad today, I'm sorry. So much variety in weapons. I can't help but be like, I don't think we would have had that to that extent with weapon durability. So yeah. Fire Emblem Fates, story-wise, do I need to explain it? Conquest is fun. Its story is really fun, its dialogue is fun and well written, but the story makes no sense. As I'm left playing it, I find myself enjoying the dialogue a lot. But the story's still not good. It has great writing. It has a horrible story though. Because I for Fates and soon for the next 3 games, I want to be able to separate story and actual writing. Fates has good writing for the most part. Revelation, I don't remember. I'm pretty sure it has bad writing. But the dialogue is good. It's fun. The characters are well written. Sports are fun. But the story is just not good. The story's just not good. At all. It makes no sense, and no amount of good dialogue is going to save that. That's my issue with Fates. Birthright is fine. The story is fine. The dialogue is good, though. I like it. So, like, I have no issue putting it higher than the rest. And frankly, I quite honestly am going to put it there. I'm going to put it there, actually. I'm changing for my quote-unquote script, by the way. There. It's fine. It's a fine story. It's nothing special, though. Ultimately, I'm not going to go too in-depth on Fates on this tier list, because I'm 40 episodes deep, and I'm only like halfway through with this game. Okay? And these are long videos. If you want to know my opinion on Fates, watch my Fates Let's Play. One of my best Let's Plays on my channel, so it's worth it. I go very much into depth. 3 houses, 3 freaking houses, 3 fudging my houses. I'm sorry. I don't like the maps. I hate the monastery system. I said it earlier, all Fire Emblem games are fun. There's some games I have to search harder for it. And yeah, 3 houses takes the most effort for me to have fun with. But how much of that is also the fact that I've put like 300 hours into the game. 3 houses is the game I will always love. I love 3 houses. I don't want to play it again. I hate the monastery. I hate the teaching. I hate weapon rank. I hate the class system. And the map design's mediocre at best. I love this game. Battalions are fun. I'll mention battalions again. The worst thing is, though, this game could have been saved with amazing gameplay story integration, but the thing is, crests, like, yeah, they're good. Sorry, I just see the crests are good. They're good. But in the story, like, says, like, wars are ended because of crests. Crests are the end-all be-all. Yeah, I don't feel it. Crests are good, but they're not amazing. It doesn't feel like the Holy Blood in FE4. It doesn't feel like a game changer. It feels like, yeah, it's there. And that's it. It feels like they tried too hard to it feels like if they took the Holy Blood from FE4, it tried too hard to balance it. But that defeats the point. The point of Holy Blood in FE4 is that it is overpowered. That it's stupidly overpowered. And it's unfair. That is kind of the point. And Crimson Flower Story in particular would work better if Holy Blood was overpowered. 3 Houses has the best writing in the series. I have no problem saying that. It does not have the best story. The Argarthans, the mole cult people, ruin the story to me. They do. I think everything that their role in the story ruins in every way. I think the story would be better if it was really just the 3 houses, the 3 countries, and the church. Silver Snow is horrible. I hate it. The 3 most interesting characters in 3 houses are the lords. Take them away. Give you Zenith instead. Okay. Random dragon disease for the final boss. Okay. Again, I make my thoughts pretty clear in 3 houses in my really long Let's Play. I like the story. I love the characters. I love the writing. The story I don't really love. Engage has the best gameplay in the franchise. Don't at me. Its map design is really solid across the board. Even its worst maps are fine at best. It showers you in money for the most part unless you spend it all on donation. So having donation, having weapon durability would be a slog. I like the class system. It's essentially just Awakenings. Again, so I like it. Except you don't have the overpowered Gale Forces. I don't like modern FE skills nearly as much as I like old ones, and that's also an issue with Awakening. Awakening is kind of where it starts. I just realized that my tiers are even. That is crazy. I just realized that. Anyways, that's an Awakening fault. Like, the modern skill system descends from Awakening, and I don't like it. But it's what it is. Engage has clunky-ass menus, but I do like its skill system. I just wish the menus weren't clunky as hell. And I love the Engage mechanic. I think I don't think they should bring back emblems, but I think there's a perfect blend between engaging, so emblems and battalions. I think there's a perfect blend between those two. Then they could start doing in new games that'll make them shine. I like foraging in this game, not as much as Talius, but I like it. I love Engage. It's so much fun to play. I don't mind the story. It's an extremely cliched story. It's nothing special. The writing is the problem. The writing is bad. The previous games have been like, oh yeah, the story's my issue, not the writing. Opposite. Engage has horrible writing. Horrible writing. Sometimes it feels like they are trying to get that Saturday morning cartoon vibe, and I think that's super fun. I think they nail it. But the problem is half the game also feels serious. And this game has gameplay story integration with the emblems being stolen from you in Chapter 10. The problem is the execution is absolutely awful, and that's really the only gameplay story integration in the game. I love Engage, but I don't love its story. I'm the kind of guy, though, when I replay Fire Emblem games, I don't. After my first playthrough, I skip the story unless I'm recording it or I love the story. Which is why gameplay is so heavily ranked in my overall list. This is my overall list. You'll notice two things. One, my S tier are the games that I think excel in both gameplay and story fronts. Story is more important in this tier. These are all games I love the gameplay on. These are being ranked on story. But my A tier is all entirely on gameplay. My 3 favorite games in the franchise have amazing story and gameplay. Okay, cool. My favorite stories are out of the way. I care about gameplay. There we go. You know? They're great. And you look at this and think, like, whoa, do I hate 3DS FE? No, Conquest is right there. Silly. I love 3DS FE, mostly Conquest, though. B tier is kind of where it's kind of like just whatever I think feels right. I actually am going to swap those two. That was a holdover from when I had their gameplay swapped, but I'm going to switch those two. 3 Houses, I get it trashed upon twice. I love the game. It has to be top of B tier. I couldn't put it lower. I just couldn't find myself putting it lower. But yeah. I've been talking a lot. I'm feeling lightheaded from dehydration and talking a lot. I actually feel like I don't need to defend too much. I love the gameplay of those games. Like, if we go to the gameplay thing, they're high. They're the next highest stuff. So it makes sense to put them there. Yeah. See you next year when I inevitably completely change my opinion again.